A very warm hello and welcome to everyone from Chapter 2 who is joining us this evening. We are so excited to be bringing you this interactive cooking demonstration in the hopes that not only you're going to get something kind of tasty out of it, but you're also going to learn about healthy food alternatives and options along the way. I'm the Media Relations Specialist at Roswell Park, and I am joined by two wonderful individuals tonight. The first being Sarah Jenks. She's one of our clinical dietitians at Roswell Park. And the second is Chef John Diotti of Osteria 166 in downtown Buffalo. Can you guys share a little bit about yourselves?
Absolutely. So as Becky said, I'm one of the clinical dietitians, and I work largely with our survivorship patients, and I'm excited to be here and get cooking today.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm John Diotti. I work at Osteria 166 right on Franklin Street, downtown Buffalo. I've been pretty much cooking my whole life, and I'm really excited today to kind of bring like an Italian style veggie kind of burger patty for you, and just try to talk about some healthy eating options.
So why don't we get to the good stuff? What are we going to be cooking today?
It's going to be an Italian veggie burger. What's going to make it Italian is just really the garden vegetables that we're using. We're using celery and hot peppers, bell peppers. We're using fresh fennel and fresh Hungarian peppers. We're also using a lot of garlic and chili flakes for spice. So that's going to be really kind of tied in. And the body of the burger is going to be made up of cannellini beans and artichoke hearts and portobello mushrooms. So it's going to have a definite Italian flair to it. And it's going to be definitely meaty, and I think it's going to eat well.
Fantastic. So why don't we kind of get down to our first sort of elements here? Where do we kick it all off?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously it is a veggie burger. We're going to be trying to definitely break off and maybe make once we make the filling, once we make the patty, we can kind of go off onto really anything you want to do. If you want to make a healthy wrap out of it, if you want to do little sliders for a party, I mean, it's going to be up in the air really for anything there, you know?
Excellent.
So all the veggies that we're going to be using, we're going to be just kind of going through some knife cuts and stuff. And there's a couple steps in this process, but we're going to start with the vegetables and really kind of get those cooked. And then all we're going to do is really kind of make like a filling or, a mixture, you know what I mean? And then we can kind of make patties out of that.
Well, we have this beautiful spread of vegetables right over here. Sarah, one thing I wanted to ask you about, something that we talk about a lot is eating a rainbow. Can you share with us a little bit about that and why it's so important to, have this healthy plate here?
Yeah, absolutely. So you might hear that a lot, that you should eat a rainbow of colorful fruits and vegetables throughout the week. And that really does mean that the different colors signify different nutrients and what we call phytochemicals, which are plant-based compounds that can boost your health. So we've got a great rainbow here. You want to try and get a variety, throughout the week. We've got some deep purples with the cabbage there, your reds and yellows with the peppers, and some greens. So we're going to get a variety of those different vitamins and minerals today.
Fantastic. Let's get to chopping.
Sure, yeah. First thing we're going to kind of go over is just, anything with cooking really, there's a lot to it as far as the prep work that goes into it, and that's what we're going to be doing right now. We have a lot of so we talked about the vegetables we got here. We're going to start with our onion, and I have a chef knife here. This is a 12-inch chef knife. So what I like to do is whenever I'm prepping vegetables or kind of prepping anything, I always like to have a little bucket here that I can kind of put all of our waste and scrap into, you know what I mean? So I have a red onion here. We're going to start with that. We're just going to peel it.
Make sure that we don't end up crying from
right,
it.
Right, yeah.
How many times does that happen to you?
You just tell yourself not to let it make you cry, and it kind of, but it definitely does. And it actually is like the older of the onion, seems like it's kind of when the onion's a little bit older, it's kind of more, let me just grab a rag, I'm sorry. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. When the onion's kind of older, it kind of determines, that's what I have noticed, you know what I mean? The fresher the onion, the less it'll be. So okay. I took an onion, I just cut it in half. You're only gonna need about a half here, and we measured everything out to, specs, but we're just kind of feel it from here, The way I always like to hold the knife, and this is kind of just a basic thing, I just kind of pinch it right here at the tang, so you got a good hold on it now. and you're gonna take your onion and kind of just do some strokes here. Just because all we're doing here is we're getting some nice knife cuts.
Oh, that is a good knife.
Yep, and so we kind of kept, see how we kept the bulb at the end? That just holds as a little anchor for us there, you know? And we just made some divots in there, and then we're just gonna come down the other way. Right? And then now we're just gonna kind of use our knuckle as like a little base, a little guideline for when we're cutting. We're gonna grab it like this and keep our fingers tucked in and just hold it in like this. And you should get your nice knife cuts now.
And that helps to protect your hand too.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that is a nice chop.
Yep. Okay, so now once we got that kind of going, we're just gonna start putting everything in our bowl.
Fantastic. So Sarah, are you able to kind of share with us, in working with cancer patients and cancer survivors, a little bit about sort of like the recommendations or the guidelines that you suggest for your patients?
Yeah, absolutely. So we go based on the recommendations from the American Institute for Cancer Research. And they recommend a largely plant-based style of eating, which doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go vegan or vegetarian or anything like that, but your plate is focused on lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, which we've got here with the buns, beans, we're doing the garbanzo beans today, nuts and seeds, and really kind of limiting the red and processed meats, things like saturated fat and added sugar. So this meal that we have today is gonna be a great kind of alternative to a red meat product to do lots of veggies and beans.
For sure, yeah. Next thing I'm gonna do, now we have our red onion in the bowl. Next thing I'm gonna do is the same kind of way with the garlic. I'm gonna cut it the same kind of way. I'm just gonna do a little cut down the middle and then come down. Right, and then we got our nice little garlic.
Never too little garlic, I should say.
Right, yeah.
I love garlic.
I love garlic too.
Same.
It's awesome. Right? I just made a pesto the other day at work, and it was hardcore garlic, and I was like, oh man, did I put too much in?
Never.
But as I did it, and as I ate it, it kind of just, it grew on me. But I love garlic. I love the way it's very, it's almost like a very good spice too. If you add enough to it, it's got a really nice, kick to it. So we're just gonna take our garlic like that. It's kind of same way we did the onions, tuck our fingers in. We just want these don't have to be perfect cuts, they really don't, but I just want them to be small enough so that when we make our patties, they're kind of uniform and they just cook evenly, But you just want to be really nice and easy. It's not a race when you're cooking, unless you work in a kitchen, really, but you just kind of want to just make sure that you do nice cuts. See how I take my garlic? Some people smash garlic and whatever. I'm really just trying to get the nice cut and the nice body of the garlic.
If everyone has garlic, it's okay. If one person has garlic, then I don't know, gotta get some breast strips for later on in the night.
Yeah, for sure.
Chef John, in the restaurant, do you find that you guys are gravitating more toward more healthy alternatives, or sort of what's your philosophy
Yes,
toward
for sure.
cooking?
Yeah, like we definitely gear towards, there's a lot of customers that come in and they want like gluten-free and they want to do like vegetarian. So we really, and then like as far as pastas go, we really kind of reach out to do like different cuts of noodle and different, like even like a gluten-free ravioli or something like that, just to kind of be different, but to kind of have something neat for them. We just put a new item on the menu. We got little cauliflower bites. They're like a little chicken wing would be, but it's a piece of cauliflower, still kind of, but we use like almond milk and we use gluten-free flour and we use nutritional yeast to kind of make the batter and the dipping sauce for those cauliflower bites, and they're really kind of they've been a great seller since we put them on.
That's fantastic. Sarah, is this stuff that you suggest that our patients and and their families look for on menus when they go out to eat?
Yeah, we definitely, when people are going out to eat, we encourage them to look for the veggie options. Keep in mind portion sizes too. For something like a pasta, you can always split a larger portion size at a restaurant, but definitely go for those veggie options.
Sure.
So kind of on that note, you want to talk about sort of, and Sarah, both of you can kind of talk about this, veggies and sort of their calories and caloric density. I know it's kind of low, right?
Yeah, so what we call vegetables, we call nutrient dense, whereas something that's calorie dense has, something like a butter or has a lot of sugar in it. Nutrient dense vegetables, you can have kind of a larger portion and fill up on a more in your plate without having, you know, excess calories. So it's a great way to kind of bulk up your plate and not feel like you have to cut down too much on what you're eating and really, you know, get in a lot of these tasty vegetables.
Sure. Right now, so we have our onion and we have our garlic in the bowl. Right now, I'm just finishing up. I'm gonna do like a half of a red bell pepper should equal out our usage here. And I'm gonna do a half a yellow bell pepper. Now, I mean, they're just bell peppers, but I do like the color. I do like, kind of like, you know, before you eat, you look at something, you're like, oh, that looks beautiful, you know, instead of just like, oh, it looks like brown mush, you know? That's why I try to sneak in like as many different colors as we can. That's why we got the radicchio. We have the yellow and the green and the red bell peppers, just to kind of, you know, not really spice it up, but just bring a little color to the meal.
My grandma always told me you eat with your eyes first, so you got to make the dish pretty.
And nowadays, people also want to get that picture, you know, kind of that do it for the gram sort of
Absolutely.
thing. So this is something that, you know, with all of these bright colors, I definitely can see how it'd be, you know, very visual and great to, you know, put out as a presentation.
So all I'm doing with the peppers is I'm just kind of taking a little bit of the ribs out. I cut them in half, and these white kind of ribs, kind of pith of the pepper just aren't the greatest to eat, but I kind of just like to take those out just like that, just kind of open them up. And then I'm just gonna kind of make julienne strips. Using your knuckle you always want to use that knuckle just so you can cut and keep the size that you want for the pepper, you know? And then just kind of turn them this way.
Okay. Great chop noise, great chop.
Yeah, you know, you always just want to rock your knife and kind of let the knife do the work, you know? You don't really want to be battling yourself when you're cutting or trying to, you know, push the knife, because that's usually when you cut yourself.
Well, and people probably have older knives in their house.
Sure.
I mean, what do you suggest?
I suggest you either sharpen them yourself or take them somewhere to get sharpened. We get our knife sharpened every week at the restaurant. So usually I use my own knives, but these knives get sharpened every week and they're nice and sharp for us.
Oh, yeah.
But I would say the main culprit of cutting yourself is having a dull knife, because when you go to cut, you actually don't cut. It bounces off or slides off the pepper or whatever it may be, you know? Mm-hmm. So now you just want to keep rocking that knife back and forth. You got your julienne strips, and now you got your filling here. And look at our nice bright colors we got here. And then whenever this is just kind of a little, you know, we talk about the sharpness of the knife. When I scrape off my board, I use the back of the knife so I'm not messing up my blade. So see, I can kind of just take everything right off into my board.
Meld right into one.
Right in there.
Awesome. While we're still on the topic of veggies, Sarah, do you want to kind of share with us, we're going to be heading into that unfortunate, you know, sort of late summer and fall. I mean, I know some people like fall, but I mean, people always want summer to continue. That being said, what can people start to look for veggie-wise as we head into, you know, sort of this late harvest, sort of into the fall?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, even right now, the peppers are, you know, coming into season. As we move, you know, a little further into the fall, we'll have our, you know, winter squash, which is things like your butternut squash, pumpkins, things like that. Apples, pears, and lots of good kind of hardy greens as well, like your kale and even onions and things are coming into season right now.
Very cool.
So I'm just working on a Hungarian pepper here, and then I have another hot green chili pepper. What I'm gonna do is just throw on a glove on this one hand, just to make sure I don't, you know, touch my eye or do something later.
We already talked about the onions. I mean, this would be even worse.
Right, but you really just want to kind of take out some of the seeds so it's just not too spicy. You know, you just kind of want the flavor from the pepper, you know? So really just kind of get in there. You're only going to need a half of one of these two, so this will equal out to our portion.
How much heat are we talking about these putting off?
These peppers are sometimes you get them and they're really spicy, and then sometimes you get them and they're kind of mild. So this is a more mild pepper, and then this is just a Hungarian hot pepper. So we're gonna just kind of add them together as one, you know? Just always wanna make sure you get your seeds out of the way.
Yep.
So then just take these peppers, just same kind of way we did the red and the yellow. It doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of come down, make some cuts on these, and then turn them the same way. And then when you come the same way, then that's when you're going to be able to get your good cuts in here. So just kind of line them up here nice. And then once again, using that hand, pinch everything together, right? And then just rock that knife back and forth. We'll get nice little cuts here, these peppers.
Very cool.
Yep.
Do you guys have a favorite type of pepper, personally?
I like jalapenos. I like poblano. I like, you know, Scotch bonnet. I've been to Jamaica a couple times, and I really kind of got into, you know, different kind of heat. But Scotch bonnet I love in Jamaican jerk cuisine. So I mean, I kind of really like, you know, it's crazy how many different peppers there really are, you know?
Mm-hmm. Sarah?
The Hungarian's always my go-to, but I do like spicy and kind of trying out different peppers too. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting with Hungarian. I feel like, you know, because I'm not a Buffalo native, Western New York native, but I feel like people in this region love cooking with the Hungarian hot peppers, making dips and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So coming here, I was like, oh, all of a sudden everyone's really into this pepper. I'm like, what's all the buzz about? And you try it and you're like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
So good.
This is so good. Oh, I see we're moving on.
Yeah. So we have just a fennel bulb here, you know, classic. It's got a lot of roots in Italian cuisine along with the celery, really. So what I'm gonna do with this fennel bulb, I'm gonna take this off, but I really like to save this stuff. I mean, if you make like a chicken stock or something like that, or wanna do like a court bouillon for a shrimp cocktail or something cool, you know, you kind of just, I also like to, I even save the little tops as a little garnish at the restaurant. I mean, I really try not to waste anything out of these vegetables, you know? So we'll save those to the side, but you're gonna take your bulb. We only need probably about half this bulb for our recipe here. So kind of put this to the side. And then now you got your bulb here, and see how I kind of left the core down in there. Same thing with the onion. You really just wanna kind of have something stable to kind of cut into. But you're gonna do it the same kind of way as you would the onion. Now I kind of come down with a couple strokes here. Now for this, I'm just kind of pressing on with my fingers, just to hold it in place. I don't want to go and nick my fingers, but I'm keeping it above my knife, okay? So then when I turn it this way now, I'm gonna come back the other way. Nice sharp knife really helps, you know? And then kind of turn it this way. So now you got, you know, you're thinking about dicing something. Now you have the little perfect squares that you need, you know? And now it's just about rocking that knife.
You know, almost automatically when you cut sort of off the top part, we got this really aromatic smell. You know, can you describe to people who have never had fennel before what it's like?
Yeah, it's just, it's anisey. It's got a really licorice note. It's almost like a celery, but it's like a mix between like, you know, it's like a celery and maybe like a parsley. It's very, very, very fragrant, like you said. And it's just got a really nice licoricey notes, you know, licoricey notes, you know, it kind of reminds you of like black licorice.
Yes,
you know?
For sure. Yeah, I know some people are fans of it, some people are not. I think fennel can be sort of an acquired taste, if you will, but
in this recipe, I think it just really works together with everything else too. And that's why we're trying to keep it like an Italian kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it go good with, you know, when you eat this with dinner, with wine, whatever it is, you know, you kind of, you know, you'll be able to enjoy the flavor pairings.
Fantastic.
So we got the fennel in there. Now we're gonna do just like about three sleeves of celery, 3 stalks here about.
I can just take celery and just grab it and just eat it anytime. It's sort of a perfect snack. Sarah, what sort of like veggie snacks do you suggest, you know, for folks if they, you know, during the day, if they find themselves sort of like grazing or eating, they want to pick up stuff?
I'm just gonna wash the celery as you guys talk.
Something like the celery or, you know, baby carrots, even sliced up bell peppers. I like to have something that's easy and quick to grab because I know when I'm, you know, hungry, I want something that's already ready. So I try to chop some things up in the beginning of the week and have them right in the front of my fridge so that I can just kind of grab and go. But definitely, you know, especially if you want to add a little bit of protein to it too to help you feel full later in the day, maybe dip it in some peanut butter, get some hummus, something like that. Great snack.
I think, you know, always with the kids, they always like talk about, you know, the ants on a log sort of thing with the peanut butter and the little raisins. Or if you want to indulge a little bit more, some little, you know, chocolate chip morsels.
There you go.
Now, my mom used to put peanut butter on celery sticks, and I used to love it as a kid, you know? So, you know, you're just gonna kind of come down. Like I said, with these cuts, they don't have to be perfect. You know, you just want a small cut. So just kind of come down your celery, split them in half again, and kind of line them up here. And then like I did, I saved like the celery tops too. I saved the fennel tops. I might put that back into the crema that'll go on the burger patty actually. Just to kind of make sure that we're utilizing everything. I hate throwing stuff away as a cook.
Yeah, food waste, I'm sure, is something, especially in a restaurant, that you guys take very seriously.
Yeah, we always try to, and that's the thing, you know, I mean, everybody can cook, like, not everybody, but people can cook a great steak, but it's like, what can you do with a leftover piece of bread? You know, what can you do with tomatoes that are gonna go bad? What can you make, you know, and that's what kind of makes the difference between really a good cook and a chef who kind of just always cares about everything that's going on, you know?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Sarah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but I'm sure you do encourage people to, you know, again, buy fresh vegetables, but then also, you know, make sure to reutilize them in recipes.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always trying to get people to, you know, use the vegetables that they purchase, and also things like frozen, canned vegetables. They're, you know, they count too, and you can kind of always have those in your pantry, in your freezer, ready to go as well.
So the next thing we're going to be dicing is going to be a portobello mushroom. This is a large portobello cap, and this, you know, it's just really kind of meaty, kind of earthy, definitely flavor that you're going to get out of this inside the veggie patty, which is going to make the whole veggie patty thing kind of seem like you're eating like a burger, you know, even though it's all vegetables. So we're going to take this, and then we're just going to take off the stem. I'm just going to grab a spoon. And then we're just going to take our spoon and just kind of take the gills out. They just got, you know, a little filter in there. That's kind of what they do. But we're just going to want to scrape those out nicely.
Oh, that comes out so easily.
Yeah, just kind of use a spoon and just kind of scrape out a majority of it. And give it a little knock off. Okay. Now we're going to take our portobello, and we're just going to cut that into thin strips. This would be a julienne cut. Okay, and then once we get that cut there, it's the same exact way we did the peppers, same exact way we did the celery. Just kind of turn it and give it a little dice. Always keeping those fingers tucked in and kind of letting your knife do the work.
What would you say to folks who are maybe on the fence about, you know, getting into mushrooms and that sort of thing? I mean, I'm sure there's some people who think, you know, it's kind of funky. So, like,
yeah.
what do you have to say to them?
I love kind of, you know, I really like to eat, and I like to eat like a lot of different things, you know. It's good, like we just talked about, like how, like, it almost has like an umami taste, like a kind of like, you know, like a truffle or something like that. It just has that really nice, you know, meaty kind of over-the-top flavor. I love mushrooms and everything. I love mushrooms on pizza. I love, you know, I really kind of, and this portobello is really, it's not like funky tasting or anything like that. It's just really kind of a nice, light, like kind of mushroom taste. I mean, it doesn't have crazy, like funk to it. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
So if you're saying like base level, if people want to get into
I think
mushrooms,
it's great.
start with your portobello.
Portobellos
Okay.
would be great. It's almost like a baby button mushroom or like a regular mushroom you would get. I mean, obviously they go on the ground, and that's what I like about them. They just have that really nice, rich, earthy flavor to them. Yeah. So we got our mushrooms in there. We got our peppers, our celery. Okay, now I think we're actually going to be able to start. What we're going to do now is we're going to saute these vegetables off, and then we're going to let them cool, and then we're going to make the patty out of that vegetable mix. The reason why you just don't want to throw this vegetable mix into our mix for our veggie burgers is because they're going to be really hard, and the mushrooms aren't going to have time to cook out and absorb flavor, and you really want to get a little caramelization on your onions and celery and garlic. So that's a huge step in this process.
All right, so we've wrapped up at least one portion of a lot of our slicing and dicing. So we're gonna move on now to the second part of some of our techniques, and that's moving over to the saute pan. So John, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, so we're just gonna get that pan nice and hot, medium-high heat, and you wanna really let it get some good white smoke to it.
And so what did we put in again? We put in some olive oil?
Yep.
Okay.
Just, it's an olive oil blend. It's 50% olive oil and 49% like a soy mix oil.
Now for folks, Sarah, who don't necessarily maybe want to cook with olive oil, is there any sort of, you know, alternatives that they can reach to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we recommend that people use what we call unsaturated fats. So that's really any of your liquid oils, olive oil, the soybean oil, any vegetable oil. We try to use those instead of what we call our saturated fats, which are found more in butter and animal products. So trying to use those plant-based oils and fats.
And we're also seeing avocado oil, sometimes some coconut oil too.
Yep, so coconut oil we do call a saturated fat. because it's solid at room temperature, kind of like a butter or something like that. But yeah, the avocado oils, lots of different like nut oils, walnut oils, things like that are gonna have that unsaturated fat.
Fantastic. And as Chef John now gets to his saute pan, we do want to add that if we are moving a little bit too fast for you, be sure to click down on the pause button below. You can stop and start again at any time to catch up with us as we continue along on this journey. So Chef John?
Yep. So we got our pan going pretty hot. You just always want to make sure this is like, you know, when you're cooking at a restaurant, you know, you got 50 orders going on. You want to make sure that your pans always get hot so you get that really nice hard sear and good color, whether it be cooking a piece of fish in a pan or cooking these vegetables in a pan. You just really want to kind of make sure it gets nice and hot so it doesn't stew the vegetables and kind of leach out the flavor. You want the bright, crisp, but still have a little bit of a bite to it. So that's what we're gonna do here. And you can see kind of how it's starting to white smoke just a little bit. We're just gonna turn it down to medium high now. We got where we need to be. And now that sound is really what you wanna hear when you're sauteing. You wanna hear that nice crisp crackle of the pan.
That is a fantastic sound. And also, I know you guys can't smell it unless you're cooking literally along with us right now. This is such a great smell that is coming off of the pan on the stove right now. Oh my gosh.
You got a little salt and pepper. And we have that hot Hungarian, but I love chili flakes in almost everything that I cook with. So a little bit of chili flakes. Now you just want to kind of...
Look at that hand technique.
So like we talked about, that jumping is just make sure that it cooks uniform and gets that nice, really nice color on it.
Sarah, this kind of leads me to another question that I do have for you, and that's like, you know, we're cooking with all of these healthy foods, but I know he's throwing in some spices and seasonings. Food doesn't necessarily have to be bland, like when you're cooking healthy, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they kind of think about starting to cook healthy, they think it's boring or bland or doesn't taste good, but the smell that we've got going on right now is so good. And part of it, I think, is the technique and kind of just becoming comfortable with cooking different vegetables and adding these different flavors that Chef is going to add for us, that you can really add some pop to these healthy dishes too.
And that goes on. When I used to work at UB for a while, and they had a great it was on Wednesdays they did like Indian cuisine. And man, I swear to God, the vegetables and everything like that, just the fragrance, the heat, the spice. I mean, it was just, and it was completely vegetarian. And I used to love Wednesdays at UB. It was just because it was a really great, like you talked about, you get really great flavor. You don't need to add all these extra fats and everything like that. You can, like, one of my favorite things is a really nice spiced salsa. You know what I mean? I kind of use red onion and jalapeno and, you know, a little bit of vinegar. I mean, it doesn't have to be this heavy thing. I'd rather have like a nice bite of fresh. That's kind of when I'm doing these vegetables, it's kind of nice. Just that fresh bite of veggies.
Yeah, a lot of times if you're adding a sauce or a syrup, that's gonna add saturated fat or sugar, things like that. But if you can just add some herbs, spices, like Chef said, vinegar, something to give it a little kick, that's gonna be great.
And we make this really nice, great herbaceous green sauce for our chicken dish at Osteria. And it's just really a lot of herbs, extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice. So those kind of things, the acid, and you know, it just kind of cuts through with meat, and it kind of, you know, brings out that rich flavor of like a steak, or we do with the half roasted chicken, but same kind of thing. So you just really kind of want to watch this. You know, it's not going to take too long. You're just going to kind of keep working it. Now you don't have to, so sauteing or jumping in the pan, you don't have to be like that. Just kind of make sure you're just kind of stirring it as you go. And it's only going to take about, 3 to 5 minutes really. All I'm trying to do is getting this vegetable soft.
I see that the onions get sort of translucent.
Yeah, right. They'll get translucent, and I really do want a little color. So I'll watch my flame. If it feels like I can use a little bit more heat, I'll turn it up a little bit. And I really want to get nice color on the fennel, the onions, the garlic. I want to get like a California golden color, like a really kind of nice light, but it's got, what makes food flavorful is the pan, the fond in the pan. Whenever you're doing like a braise or a sauce, you really want to get a nice color on the bottom of the pan you scrape it up, you add wine, whatever you do, that flavor is concentrated on the bottom of the pan.
Does that have a specific name?
Fawn?
Yeah, it's called fawn?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
sorry.
called fawn, yeah. And that's really one of my favorite things to do is to braise and to really make nice sauces out of wine, and that you really get the flavor from searing whatever you sear and then just scraping it down with your vegetables and wine.
And what's also great here, if you guys notice, the color is still in the pan too.
Right.
You don't lose any of it, as we're talking about before eating a rainbow. Like all of it doesn't fade, except for maybe the onions turning a little bit more translucent.
Right. And that's why this process doesn't take longer than, if you got a nice hot pan, 5 minutes probably, about 3 to 5 minutes. So you're really getting good color, but keeping the vegetables so that they have a little bit of a bite, you know?
Just wish I had those techniques. But again, I guess a spoon will do. A spoon will do for me too.
Yeah. So we're good there. I could really smell, now I'm smelling the toasted garlic. I'm smelling the celery cooking now, the fennel, that good, nice anisey flavor. And now all we're gonna do is take this off, and you could put it onto like a sheet tray, or I'm just gonna put it back into the bowl, and I'm gonna put that bowl in the fridge and let this totally cool for a while. It's gonna take probably about 15 minutes at the most. But you really just wanna get this down to room temperature so you can just handle it when we make the patties.
In the bowl it goes. Now, while that element is cooling in the fridge, we're gonna welcome back Chef John. He's gonna come back over here, and we're gonna get into some of the creamy elements and some of the cool elements that's gonna go on top of the burger. So, Chef John,
yeah, awesome.
I'll leave back to you.
We're gonna make like a slaw. It's really not a slaw, it's just a couple cool ingredients that are gonna be mixed together like a little bit of a salad, you know? Or it could be a slaw. You know, a slaw is really whatever you want it to be, you know? We have like a really nice head of radicchio here. Radicchio is in the endive family. It's kind of like an Italian bitter green, even though it's a really meaty bulb. And I really like this for this because it's bringing that extra meaty like aspect to the burger, you know. And when I say it's a veggie burger, I really want to try to get as close to a real burger as we can without putting meat or anything into it. So I really like this for that. It's just a head of radicchio, and I think you're only going to need about half of that for our recipe here. So I just cut that right in half. I take off like the older little leaves here. They're not that great, but everything else, I mean, it's beautiful, you know. You just really want to take the core out of this. And then now we can just take this and just really kind of, I just want like nice, what like shredded cabbage would be, or shredded carrots would be in a slaw. And all I'm going to do for that is just do a really nice thin strokes here. And it just looks beautiful. I really like the colors on it. It's gonna make the burger pop, you know. Well, you just wanna get nice long strokes here so that it sits on the bun or it sits on the wrap really well.
And also, probably has some crunch to it too when you're biting into it.
For sure. And I mean, this is really, really basic stuff. I'm just gonna, would you mind handing me this bowl here? Thanks. Yeah. Awesome, thank you. So we're gonna take our radicchio. Okay, right in the bowl. Really simple process here. We're not doing anything crazy at all. Okay. Scrape that bottom of the bowl.
Back of the knife again. Yep.
Get all your ingredients in there, waste not. And now we're just gonna take a package of bean sprouts. I like bean sprouts here because we're using beans in a filling for the burger. So it's kind of like a double play on bean, you know?
Can you talk to us a little about the flavor of bean sprouts? Because I'm sure there may be some people who are a little hesitant to have some bean sprouts.
It's almost like it's watery to me, but it has that nice crisp crunch and a nice kind of, you know, it's kind of refreshing to me. And it has that bean flavor. I really like bean sprouts, or we used to get pea shoots that were kind of like that. And they have that really nice taste of bean without being a heavy, you know, bean, right? So it's just the tops here. Now,
Sarah, can you share anything with us just about beans in general and sort of their nutritional value and how they're good for us?
Yeah, so the beans are great, especially in a dish like this where you don't have that animal protein, to give you some of that plant-based source of protein. So beans, you know, they've got the protein and some fiber, which will help you feel fuller longer and give you the protein that you need. And what I love about this recipe is that a lot of people might be a little hesitant to try a veggie burger, things like that, but this is gonna be pretty hearty with the beans and the mushrooms and have this nice crunch on top. So hopefully it'll have that satisfying factor too.
For sure. Now for the remainder of the slaw, I just put a little bit of salt and pepper. And now I'm gonna actually take some of the fennel frond, some of the celery top, and just kind of chop that right into it.
It all goes back to that waste not, want not sort of thing.
And I mean, I'm just gonna add it right in. We already used it once. I like the nice, now we sauteed these two, so now I'm adding a little bit of freshness to it too. So just kind of chop that off roughly. Okay, that's all. And then, right into your bowl.
So bright.
Yeah, and now for the dressing, really simple. We have that same olive oil that we've been using. Just a little bit of olive oil. And now we're gonna take a lemon and just squeeze that in there for our acid. So that'll be our dressing, even though it's really simple. This isn't, we don't have to buy a vinaigrette, we don't have to do anything. All I want is a little bit of the richness from the olive oil and a little bit of lemon juice to cut through the bitterness of the radicchio.
Sarah, as opposed to some of the creamier types of dressings that we see on the shelves, would you say that sort of this style of dressing is probably the way to go in terms of, if people are looking for that healthy alternative for a salad?
Yeah, absolutely. Using either the lemon juice or a vinegar to give it that, bright flavor. And then again, that olive oil versus something that's kind of that creamier dressing, definitely this is a great way to go.
Awesome. So, and then that's really about it. This will be our slaw to go on top of our burgers. It'll also go on top of if we make wraps, if we do little sliders. I mean, and for this recipe, I just want to make sure that you see how much oil I put in and how much lemon juice. I just want equal parts of oil to lemon juice.
Love that fresh lemon smell.
Oh yeah.
It smells, it's really, and even through the mask, you can kind of, you kind of. All right, so we have our slaw already prepared. And we can just let that sit there, and that could sit out. I mean, it's really, you can even eat that as a little salad if you'd like. I mean, that's really kind of just, I like the crunch. I like the radicchio has such a deep flavor. It's so bitter, and it's just a really nice head. It's really a nice green, even though it's purple.
Yeah, that's, if someone has this extra half of head sitting there, they can kind of make their own salad the next day with some of these leftover veggies too.
Yeah, and it'd go great, really, with just a little salad, like you said. Or add if you want to add a little protein, whatever you like to it.
And easy to find in the grocery store?
Yeah, for sure. Wegmans, Tops, everybody kind of has them. And like anything else, really, right now, we talked about kind of staying local to our produce, and I think that's a really big thing with the restaurant community, especially what's going on right now. We really want to kind of keep everything as home as we can. So I mean, really, coming up out of the ground, there's a lot of things right now, and unfortunately, it's kind of coming to an end soon.
Yeah.
But we still probably, you can look at a lot of different, because these kind of heads, they're a little stronger to the environment. So you can kind of get really anything, a lot of the stuff, probably get everything local, so that's kind of the way I like to go.
Great.
So we have our radicchio slaw. The next thing we're gonna make is a little bit of crema. I call it a crema, even though it's really just kind of a kicked up yogurt for it would be like our condiment for the burger. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of Greek non-fat yogurt.
I find myself using a lot of Greek yogurt in cooking as a substitute for a couple other things. Sarah, I don't know if you can kind of shed some light on what exactly you can sub in Greek yogurt for.
Yeah, I mean, I always have Greek yogurt in my fridge. I use it for breakfast, but then I will make like an egg salad with a Greek yogurt and maybe some avocado or mustard or things like that, or like Chef is doing now just as a dressing. It's really very versatile.
Thank you. And then, so now to this Greek yogurt, we're just gonna add a bunch of herbs, like a lot of herbs actually, and a lot of like Italian themed herbs, basil, oregano, flat leaf parsley, or Italian parsley. And we're gonna add, just for that citrus again, we're gonna add the zest of the lemon as well as the lemon juice.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so for this, we're just gonna add, a little bit of salt. As I season everything that I do, and I don't like to go too heavy on seasoning, but I think everything needs salt and pepper just to kind of bring it out. It pulls out flavor. we're not gonna go crazy, but I think it needs that little hit of salt.
In moderation for
Yeah.
sure, and I think, Sarah, you would probably share in the sentiment of, not a ton of salt, right, because of all the sodium.
Yeah, and adding it, to different components of these dishes, not a problem to bring out that flavor. There's really nothing that, we say when I'm talking to patients that you have to completely cut out or anything like that. Everything can be included in moderation.
If you would like to, please just help me. We can just pick. So
Sure can.
what we have here is we have fresh oregano, and then we have fresh mint, and fresh basil, and then some fresh Italian parsley. But what we're gonna do here is, and if you guys just want to both help me actually, let's just pick the basil off the stems,
Okay.
just like that, and that's all we want to do. And same thing with the parsley and the mint. Yeah, if you want to do that.
You just pick all the little leaves.
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, we don't have to use a ton. The oregano, my favorite herb is fresh oregano. I really love the flavor of it. I know that we really don't, but I mean, as you're peeling it off, you can kind of really smell that.
Yeah,
it just
it's all
smells great,
coming
right? A lot of people think of oregano as like just dried stuff you put on pizza or whatever, but the
Yeah.
fresh oregano to me is really nice,
And this is stuff too that, like, if you really, have the gumption for it, you could plant it in your backyard. I know
Sure.
we have a couple of mint leaves in our backyard,
yeah.
and we kind of stumbled upon those on accident when we bought our house. So that's kind of a welcome.
I've got some basil on my windowsill.
Yeah, awesome. Me too. I had, if you want to help me pick a little, just a nicer looking mint.
Sure.
That'd be great. Sometimes it gets a little soft and kind of, but yeah, same thing. In my backyard, I have mint and parsley growing wild. And I was cutting my grass yesterday, and I was like, oh, it smells like spearmint back here. And there was a whole thing of mint kind of in my backyard, and I should have maybe picked it before I cut it. But
Yep.
so yeah,
That's okay.
That should be.
It'll
good.
probably come back. Is that okay with
Awesome.
this?
That's great. And then
Okay.
I'll do a little bit more parsley. Just help me pick a couple leaves of parsley off.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Do you want to take the scraps of these? There you
Yeah.
go.
And then, like I said, anything with this, if you make a chicken stock or a vegetable stock with any of your scraps, put it with a little bit of water just to cover it, and you can have a really nice vegetable broth,
Nice.
It smells so good.
So this crema really is just about the herbs. The yogurt and the lemon juice, I just really want that really nice, fresh, vibrant flavor from the herbs. Great, okay. So we have here our parsley, our oregano, and our mint and our basil. And then what we're gonna do here is just kind of rough chop the oregano and parsley. And then I'll show you a little bit. Do we have a little bit more mint? Yeah, that kind of stuff. Okay. All right, so just for the parsley, really just no big deal. We just wanna kind of give it that rough chop.
Okay.
The way I like to chop things too is just kind of use your hand as like a guide on top. And then just kind of make those motions of the rocking, So that way you're actually cutting the herbs instead of bruising them, right?
What happens if you were to accidentally bruise? What would that?
Yeah, it turns them really brown,
Ah.
And I'll show you with the mint and the basil, that's why it's kind of important. The oregano and parsley are kind of strong herbs,
Okay.
So they kind of hold up well to that. But once you get it doesn't have to be perfect. Just a nice cut here. Always scrape off your board. Okay, and then you're gonna take your oregano and parsley. Now for your mint and basil, I just wanna cut this like once. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of roll it up. And this is called chiffonade. It's just a cutting technique, but you just, instead of bruising the mint that it'll get, you just kind of wanna do one nice stroke. So, and it's called the chiffonade cut.
Chiffonade.
Yeah, it's just so you don't bruise up that mint and it stays nice and fresh. You don't gotta go back and forth with it.
Okay.
Same thing with the basil, just kind of get it together. And then you kind of just put one in there and roll it up. Okay. Just kind of roll it up a little bit.
When you say they're gentle, I think I've noticed it in the sense that, you know, with a basil leaf, you can just slap it and immediately you get sort of the aromatics from it. Is that kind of like...
Yeah, mint too, same way. And that's what I mean. You don't have to go... See, the oregano and the parsley, you can kind of beat them up a little bit. But these, I just really like that one nice cut. So that's why I'm going to do the chiffonade here. And then you're really left with a nice...
It's like confetti.
Yeah, sort of. It's kind of, no, it's kind of, it is. No, it actually is. You're right.
Yeah.
No, really, no, it's not.
More of the smells. If all of you guys are cooking this right now and cutting this up, you are hopefully smelling what we are smelling, which is just a whole big batch of deliciousness.
Right. So we always want to make sure we keep our stuff clean, keep our board clean. Now we're just going to take this lemon, just give it a little roll. All right, you just want to get the juices going. And we're going to take our zester here, our microplane. And all we want, see, when you zest lemon, you really just want to, you don't want to get into the white, you know? You really just want to get that outside layer just so that really nice flavor kind of gets out of it. And this is going to add a ton of freshness to this crema.
Which is interesting because it kind of yields just such a little bit.
Right.
I'm sure packs a punch.
Yeah, and also you can add to this, you can add, if you want to throw an orange in there, that'd be great too. Orange is a really nice kind of Italian kind of flavor too, you know, for the burger. But I'm just going to stick with the lemon zest here. And you're just going to kind of get as much as you can. So you kind of see how it's almost, you know, get a little more here and there, but that's about good. So now you kind of get it all off. Here, scrape it down nice. Okay.
Right in.
And now just to finish this, it's already seasoned up, ready to go. Now we're just going to take our lemon, cut it in half, and just get the juice in there as well.
2 ways.
Okay. Yeah. So now it's very nice, herbaceous, citrus kind of flavor we got.
Actually
going
yielded
there.
a lot of juice. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, those are juicy lemons. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So now we just kind of want to whisk this together. It smells good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Chef, we've now sort of wrapped up the topping portion of our burger, and now we can finally get to making the burger and the burger patties. So I will leave it up to you and guide us through.
So we have our refrigerated vegetable mixture that we sauteed and cooked. We brought it out now. And to that, we're gonna add our filler to it. We're gonna add artichoke hearts. Just wanna strain those really good. Now these are just quartered artichoke hearts. And while I do the artichoke hearts, would you mind just opening the 2 cans of beans?
Sure.
And then we'll just strain them out. You could use the sink over here if you'd like.
Great.
Okay. So now with our artichoke hearts here, we're just gonna give these a rough chop. It doesn't have to be anything special. You know, we're not trying to get like a really small chop. I wanna keep these kind of meaty to give it a little body to the burger. We're just gonna kind of take and give it a rough chop.
Now, people like artichokes, I know, in like spinach artichoke dip and everything, but in this recipe, how does it play off of everything else that we're putting together?
It plays off of the fresh oregano, it plays off of the fennel. It's just really kind of keeping it an Italian kind of theme, you know? Artichokes are super big in Italy, you know, so we really kind of wanted to try to hit that with as many levels as we can as far as making the burgers.
Okay, and now with Sarah, you know, opening up both of these beans, do they also help with sort of the binding and like the fiber and everything like that?
For sure, because the bean is gonna, we're gonna actually mush these up a little bit, and they're actually gonna, everything's gonna kind of work together and kind of get, you know, get to meet each other really.
Get to meet each other. Everybody in the pool, if you will, right?
Exactly. So
Sarah is just cranking away on that.
Yeah,
You got it.
We got it here.
Keep it going.
So we got our beans. We're just gonna rinse our beans off a little bit to get a little bit of that can off.
There we go.
Got it, cool.
Stand it here.
I can use
Almost.
I can use my knife.
Technical difficulties
Okay.
with the beans, but that's okay.
It's totally fine. We'll just crank this open. Cool. Okay, great. Okay.
Can openers can be quite pesky
Oh yeah,
sometimes.
for sure. So now we just really want to rinse those beans off a little bit.
And actually, when you're rinsing the beans like that, that can decrease some of the sodium that you find in canned beans
Sure,
too.
sure. Okay, so we got our beans. Okay. Okay, so we already added salt and pepper into our mix. Now we're just gonna add a little bit of the body to this.
All right.
We're gonna start with just some whole wheat panko breadcrumbs. And can you give me the cup measure, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sarah, I don't think I've ever seen whole wheat breadcrumbs before.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't think I have either, but we'll talk a little bit more about whole grain, but that's definitely a good option to add to something like this.
For sure. And then we just have some oats.
Also whole grain.
Yeah. Okay.
Not something that everyone would think about going into maybe a patty per se, but because everyone's thinking, oh, maybe my oatmeal in the morning, that sort of thing. But no, definitely an interesting ad.
So now, we're really just gonna kind of get our hands in there. And this could be something cool if you wanted to do with your kids or something to make the filling and kind of have the kids maybe get in there, but you just really want to get in there and kind of smush everything together. What's happening is we're kind of mixing the beans, breaking up the beans, and just incorporating everything into it. And now when you get here, I look at things sometimes when I'm cooking and I kind of try to see, hey, is it too wet? Does it need a little bit more oats, or does it need a little bit more breadcrumb? Those vegetables, when you salt and pepper and saute them, and I'm not going to season this anymore because I've already seasoned our vegetables in the pan. But you really just want to kind of get in there. Make sure everything is really incorporated together. And if it feels a little wetter, then you could just add a little bit more dry, The recipe, though, should be pretty spot on. The other thing, too, is maybe when you make these patties, you should let them sit, let everything kind of come together for a minute.
I can see how kids would really enjoy
Yes.
taking part in this. This is like
It's
really
kind of get
getting
your
into
hand
the
in there.
yeah.
So I'm looking at this. I'm going to add just a touch more breadcrumb if you can.
Alrighty, we're doing
Yep.
good. There we go. Do you want me to just
Sure, just a little bit. Yep.
kind of-
Hang on. Be great.
hold on a second?
Keep going. Yep. All right,
Is
awesome.
that okay? There you go.
Now, if you accidentally overdid the breadcrumb, would you just add a liquid in?
No, I would just
Keep it?
Yeah, just try not to do that. No,
Try
but,
not to.
But it's starting to look really nice. It's starting to look like
Oh, yeah.
it's almost like
Like a paste,
right,
sort
like,
of.
like a ground beef would
yeah.
be, sort of. And then you can kind of tell it's holding its shape, right? So now, really, I could do anything that I want to do with these. What we're going to do is we're going to make a burger, and then we're going to make some sliders for, let's say you want to do a party or something like that, where you want to have a little healthy snack or a little, appetizer, even like a little entree or whatever. I'm just going to take my filling and kind of make just like a portion burger patty would be.
What sort of portion size are we looking at?
You're looking at like 6 ounces, 6 to 7 ounces.
Okay.
And you just want to kind of patty them out really nice.
Sarah, when folks are portioning out meat, or in this case a veggie burger, is 6 ounces a good recommendation for size, or people have a food scale?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if we're doing a meat burger, like a 3 to 4 ounces, kind of a portion of meat, like we talked about earlier with the calorie density in vegetables, you can kind of bulk up that portion a little bit and you're not really increasing the calories too much. So we're making a nice, hearty vegetable burger right here.
So you can see I made a nice, that's a good portion there,
That's so cute.
And then we'll do just a couple, we'll do 3 of them as like a slider roll, And you could use this now if you wanted to make if you wanted to turn this into a wrap, you can even make like a kebab style where you kind of take it and just kind of roll it into like a mixture like this, and then you could just pan fry it as well, and you could lay it down for a wrap or something like that.
Cylinder there.
Right,
okay.
sure. It kind of could be formed into kind of whatever you'd like to do, you know?
Okay.
Or you could just break these off and to make a little wrap out of it, you know? It's all good. But, so I have my slider.
Just so perfect,
Yeah.
perfectly shaped.
Right. So I got that there. Let's take my gloves off. All right, so then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna sear these patties just like that. And then we're just gonna finish them in the oven just to melt the cheese a little bit. What we have is a little bit of pepper jack cheese here,
yes.
which I like it because it's gonna add another little flavor. It's gonna add creaminess and another little spicy heat. So what I'm gonna do is turn that pan back on, same heat, maybe a little bit less. I'm gonna go like medium to medium high and get it going. And I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to that. Okay. And then we're gonna do the same exact thing that we did before and let that oil get nice and hot.
So we're talking a little bit about the cheese here. I mean, I think Sarah and I both are really big pepper jack fiends. What can we use if someone wanted an alternative for cheese, or I know there's some people who are lactose intolerant. What
Right.
sort of things can we sub in?
I think like really any cheese would work here. If you want to use, like obviously American isn't the best bet, but if you want to use like a low milk mozzarella or like a provolone or anything like that would work fine. You know what I mean? Any kind of cheese. Something that would melt nice and kind of cascade the burger a little bit.
And there are definitely some, vegan and plant-based options. If you, like you said, you can't have
Sure,
the dairy
sure.
or you wanted to make it more
Right.
vegetarian, you can go with that too.
For sure.
Perfect. But that has a nice little like kick to it too. That's kind of, I think, adding to sort of all that sweet heat that we're putting together in this.
Most definitely. So yeah, we're just gonna make our patties here now.
All right.
Once this gets nice and hot. Like I said, and this searing is important because if you were to put this in there in a kind of cool pan, it's gonna stick to the bottom. What we wanna do is make sure we get a nice crust and get a hardcore sear on it, and that way it'll be able to be flipped and finished in the oven.
If you can hear right behind me, it may sound like a jet plane is taking off. That would be the oven right behind us, and we are going to be throwing the patties in the oven very shortly, and that is heating up to 350 degrees. So as it continues to heat, Chef, take it away.
Yeah, so we got that pan. You can see the smoke, the light white smoke coming off, and all we're gonna do is drop our patty in our pan. Always be careful, you're dealing with really hot oil here, and anything that I sear like that, I kind of set down and I set away towards me. I never drop it towards me so the oil splashes back. It's kind of like a little trick here. So just kind of drop it in there. But you want to hear that noise. You want to hear that snap of the sear. And you're just going to let that go. As that goes, it's going to get a really nice color on the bottom. We're just going to finish it with some cheese and pop it in the oven just to melt the cheese.
So, because this is a veggie burger as opposed to cooking meat, we don't have to necessarily worry about temperature, sort
Yeah.
of meats, made at medium rare, that sort of thing.
Yeah, what I'm looking to do is get good color and make sure it's warm through the middle. That's really all I want to do. It doesn't have to be like screaming hot,
Especially if we're going to finish it in the oven as well.
And this process is going to go quick,
Ah, look
Right.
at that.
So you already see we got
Look
some
at that
really nice
crust.
color on there.
That's awesome.
Yep. It all starts with just a really nice hot pan, Okay,
That it does.
so once we're here, now what we're gonna do is let it go just a couple more seconds on the other side. We're gonna get some of our pepper jack cheese. And now once we got a little bit more crust on that other side, we're just gonna pop the whole pan right into the oven. So you don't have to make 2-3 pans out of the thing.
It's getting all melty,
Yeah,
good, and
trying,
gooiness.
Once that gets a little color, our oven is all set. I'm just gonna go ahead and pop that in.
We'll scooch around. There
Thank
you
you.
go.
And here we go in our oven. Okay,
There we go.
so that's going. That's gonna just take, just like we said, 3 to 5 minutes just to kind of get it warm throughout the middle.
Now that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this is a convection oven, right?
No,
Or-
it's any oven really would kind of be
Okay.
you know.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So as we move on, we got to look at sort of the almost finished product here in terms of how we plate
Yeah.
this burger.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make one like a regular burger, and then I'm gonna do what we got is some really nice wheat hamburger buns. And then we got some multi-grain slider rolls. But like we talked about before, if you want to make this into like a really nice kind of wrap for lunch, where you can kind of just cook it the same way. You don't have to add the cheese then, but just kind of sear it, get some color, maybe break it up, and then you can make a wrap out of it. Same way as you would use ground beef to make a burrito or something like that. You know, you could, that's why my wife really likes different kind of gluten-free and different kind of healthier wraps to make sandwiches. And
it's
so
probably
forth,
worth
you know?
delving a little bit into sort of this portion of it, you know, what makes something whole grain versus, you know, refined. And Sarah, that is your expertise, so I'll let you chat a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so a whole grain has all three parts of the grain. It's called the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. And all those parts have fiber and vitamins and minerals and some healthy oils in them. And when we refine a grain, we take most of that away and you're just kind of left with the starchy part. So we recommend getting the whole grains to get all of those other nutrients in there. And we're looking for, you know, if we're looking at a label, we're looking for in the ingredients something that says the word whole in front of it, okay? And you're trying to really aim for about 3 servings of whole grains per day. You don't have to make all of your grains whole grains. We say, you know, make about half your grains whole, okay? So it doesn't have to be every single time you're having a whole grain, but it's definitely good for your heart health and weight management and things like that too.
How do you balance it out from someone who, you know, goes from just eating, say, white bread and white rolls all the time to making the shift toward a wheat or a whole grain? Because I know there can be a taste difference sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some products that are made with what we call a white whole wheat, so it's got a little bit more of a mild flavor. Definitely just trying different options if you like things with some more, you know, nutty flavor or seeds in it. There's some, you know, multi-seed buns and things like that. But definitely I would say having it with a recipe like this that has a bunch of other great flavor to it can help you kind of get used to that whole grain too.
Fantastic. How are we looking?
We're doing good. We're melting the cheese. It's
Ooh,
almost there.
that's the best
It's getting ooey gooey. So now I'm going to start building these. I'm just going to add a little bit of our crema with all these nice
Oh, look
herbs.
at that.
Right? Get a little bit of that on there.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you were using a wrap, this would go great if you did your wrap and put a little smear of this on the bottom. That'd be great.
I like the word schmear, one of my favorite words.
Right. we do like breads and spreads at the restaurant,
Yeah.
but we're always making, like we did like a whipped feta and caponata, and I kind of like that as something different to just bread and butter. You know,
Oh
bread
yeah.
and oil.
Oh yeah. Tapenades are fantastic.
I'm gonna grab this
All right,
out.
I will
Yep.
scooch aside. Caution hot oven. Oh, look at
Cheese.
those.
So
Yeah, look at
all
the
the
melted
burgers.
cheese.
Kind of got a little melty, nice.
And you still sounds and the smells.
Yeah.
Now all we're gonna do is we're gonna take our patty, a little bit of that excess oil off.
Now again, because this isn't meat, we don't have to necessarily let it rest per se, right?
Right, you know, you can go right into it. Okay. So we have that. Okay, so now we're just gonna finish this up with a little bit of that really nice slaw. And I mean, look at it, the color on this looks
Looks
great.
amazing.
It's nice and dressed properly. You know, it's got a good body to it. I think it's gonna eat really well.
Can already envision the crunch.
And the slaw just really sets it off, you know, kind of makes it
Oh,
pop
for sure.
Okay, so I like to just display this just like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you wanted to do like a little party for a little appetizer or
Yeah.
anything like that, just kind of make these ahead of time. And then you could pop them in the oven and
Nice.
just kind of assemble them before the party. I think it's
Stick a little
great.
toothpick or something
Sure.
through them to make them fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Not like they aren't already fancy enough.
Right, so we have that. And then,
And
we
then-
also have like any kind of, I really like sweet potato chip, or this kind of goes right along with it, trying to be a little bit
Yeah.
healthier. There's a lot of root vegetables. This is just a Terra Bland, you know, chip.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, you know, cool. But these are great. I love the different kind of root vegetables that they put in there, you know. It makes the plate look
That's
really nice.
very
and pretty.
colorful too. Just and continuing along the whole theme of this colorful plate. Sarah, can we enjoy these, you know, a little bit guilt-free or?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, definitely, really anything like this again in moderation. You can always enjoy. This is a great option, like you said. The color, the root vegetables, definitely goes right along with this dish.
Oh my goodness. Take a look at all of this, soak it in, or actually if you're making it from home, you may already be diving into it. I can't wait to sink my teeth into it, that is for certain. And there you have it. We've got a delicious and colorful burger that is also healthy and nutritious. We wanted to thank everyone for taking part in our live cooking demonstration this evening. We hope you guys had a lot of fun. I think we all did. And I also want to thank both of you for taking part, Sarah and Chef John. This has been great, hands-on. And yeah, we hope you guys enjoy your meal. See you guys later. Bye.
Thank you.
I'm really hungry.